It's April 6th, 2023.
Motion to open?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes. Oh, now, no appointments tonight. Couple things on the business. So the new fairway mower payment options. I know we've been talking about fair market value lease, or dollar buyout lease, just buying the piece of equipment.
I think
The payment options are on the handout I gave everybody.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Total price is $69,566, and you can do a 3 or 5 year buyout, with a $1 buyout for $25,354 for 3 and $16,477 for 5 years. Or you can do a fair market value lease, $19,286 for 3 year and $14,124 for 5 years. Those are the options.
I think, in my opinion, I think the fair market price is the best. I don't know, we saved 10 grand, right? Thereabouts.
I just did some quick calculations. If we keep the money in the bank and lease it out, Nick says that we could get 3% interest on it. So we can get $10,434 in interest.
Buying a charger.
If we,
You must be buying a charger.
I'm curious where he's getting
We can get
3% in the
3%.
bank. There isn't a.
well, he just minimum.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And if we use a $5, the $1 buyout, it's $16,477 times 5 minus the cost of the mower comes to interest payment of $12,819. So the difference between them will cost us $2,385, or over 5 years, $477. So at the end of 5 years, we would own the mower. And I asked Steve to give me an assessment of the mower we bought 3 years ago, in which we paid cash. And that's the handout he just gave you. So it's the same mower, everything across, and we've done,
Everything was everything was the same setup too.
Yeah.
Same shield, same wheels.
right, so 3 years we've owned it, we put 1,000 hours into it. I recall Steve saying that the Toro mower should be good for 5,000 hours of use,
4,000 to 5,000. Yeah.
or 5,000. So this is 3 years into the lease. 2 more years, we'll have less than
Be right on
2,000
2K,
hours
yeah.
on it. And so for $1, we would have it for another 3,000 hours worth of running, assuming everything,
Yeah.
the machine continues to run well. So I originally thought the fair market value was the better option because it was less. But now I'm looking at it, it looks like we can get a lot of use out of it after 5 years, not costing us much at all in interest, the $477 a year. Sounds like the best deal. And we get to save the money in the bank in case we need to be working on things such as a clubhouse, those kinds of things.
Hot pads, whatever.
So if you want to look at it under that presumption that at the end of 5 years, it'll still have worth and value and keep using the machine, then I would agree. I know at one point in time, whether it was this or another one, was saying, oh, the machine's only good for 5 years anyway.
Right.
So at that point in time, why bother to own it? But you're right, if given what Steve's on, the one that we had for 3 years now, projecting it out another 2 years and thinking, gee, that's gonna have plenty of life left on it, and then assuming the same thing with this one. I think that does make more sense that way.
It does. The question is, how long do you think the reels will last, Steve?
That's what I'm looking at now, just trying to compare the 5210 to give you an example. The 5210 is our oldest machine. The 5210 we got in 7/27/2010.
Okay.
And it's got, let me see, the 5210 has got about 4,600 hours on it
And that's 13 seasons?
in 13 seasons. The one thing I do want to remind everyone, though, is I believe it was 2021. I'd have to go back and check. We had a hydraulic problem with that thing and had to send that machine to Toro, and it cost us $6,000 for Toro to fix the hydraulic problem.
So that's 11 seasons into it,
Yeah.
2021, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, again, it should last. I mean, that's what most of the time, they'll base their estimates on anywhere from, like I said, 4,000 to 5,000 hours before you start getting into these, major issues. And the other things that can cause problems are the reel motors, the actual motors on the outside of the reels that drive them. Then the other thing that the Toros, they've come out with advancements in bed knives, and what they've made is they've made the bed knife steel harder. So the bed knife steel, that way, the bed knife doesn't flex as much, it doesn't bend. But the problem with that is it's harder on the reel, especially if you cut with what's called contact, because the reel spins and the reel takes the grass, pushes it against the bed knife, and cuts it at the bed knife. And when this bed knife steel is harder, the reel wears a little bit more. But we're probably, the 5210, we don't have too much meat left on at all. But I would say you should get at least 5 years out of those reels, unless you hit something. I mean, if you hit something and bend, when they call it a reel, each reel is made up of 8, 11, 14, or 15 individual blades. Turns in a circular pattern. What happens is that if you hit something hard enough, it's going to bend one of those blades on that reel, and if you can't straighten it out, it's not going to cut properly, so you have to replace the whole reel itself. Not the housing, but the actual reel inside the housing. So
And what's the cost of that?
those are I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm going to say they're probably about $2,000 a piece.
So it still sounds like a good deal. After 5 years, you'll own it for $1, and whether or not you have to replace some or all of the reels.
Yeah,
Sounds
I mean, if you
like
can,
another.
at the end of those 5 years, if you can put a little bit extra money into it to ensure there's going to go a little bit further, then you're still probably
Way ahead.
ahead. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So then we're moving towards the 5-year dollar buyout lease then, correct?
Sounds like the best deal to me. What do you say, Bob? What do you say, Bob?
Yeah, makes sense.
Finance man?
So I want to make that motion then.
I'll make the motion to do the 5-year buyout.
$1
I'll
buyout.
$1 buyout, yeah.
I'll second it.
Moved by Bob and seconded by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's the option, Steve.
There you go, you can drive it home.
My question is, what do we do with the one retiring?
Well, the 5210, I'm going to see if they'll take it in trade. If they don't take it in trade, then what we'll probably do is, hold on to it momentarily, but then I'm going to look to see, first of all, if they don't take it in trade, it has to be declared surplus equipment by the Board of Selectmen before we can do something with it. other than that, and no, that's the other problem. I mean, when they get up in a little bit of hours, most of the companies are interested in taking them back in trade.
So what do you get, what would be the, what would you get for something like that?
You know, they may give you $1,000 off your price or something else, or what they'll do is they'll tell you that they'll put it on a truck and take it to auction and, sell it, and whatever they get for it,
They take
minus
a
the cost of them transporting it to auction, they
Right.
give back to you.
How many hours on that thing? The old one?
Let me see if I still have it here.
With the lack of new machines around, I would think there's a pretty good market.
Somebody must want it, I would think.
I would think so.
Even if they want it for pots.
Well, the 5210, at that age, your parts aren't gonna be, the other thing with it, that's actually a grandfathered piece of equipment now because they've changed the emission standards on the machines, so.
Is it still running?
Let me go,
They're using it.
They're using
They're
it?
using
They're
it?
using it.
Why don't you keep it for backup in case the other one needs service?
well, I can keep it for a backup, but, I've got,
If you're gonna pour money into it.
not so much pouring money into it. I think it was at our last meeting that we were supposed to come up with suggestions for a town article in the fall. We're running out of space, serious space inside that building. And,
Donate to
as
the
far
school
as- I
so
mean-
they can use it. Donate to the school.
huh? They wouldn't have a use for a real mower.
No.
No, so it wouldn't, I don't think it would help their
So-
cause.
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah,
I know the kid at reservation needs some equipment.
yeah.
That's why I'm
An
asking
option.
how many hours on it, and I'll bring it to him. I'm out there tomorrow, so.
There's 4,600, there's probably 4,700 hours on it because we've used it once or twice already this year.
And it's running.
Yeah, it's running, it's, what happens with them over,
All season while we're waiting for delivery.
This one,
of-
right.
well, we used it last year, and we also used until recently, we had the LF 550s.
What's the year on that one?
It's a Toro Realmaster 5210. It's, we got it, it was delivered on 7/27/2010.
Okay.
12 years old.
Yeah, it
I'll
was
ask him.
delivered, and then the year after that, we ended up with the,
I'll ask
I mean, you can ask him if he wants to come over and take a look at it.
Yeah.
The only problem that we experience with it, again, is the hydraulic motors are a little bit tired, so when the grass is heavier and the grass is wet, it doesn't disperse or throw the clippings nearly as well as the other machine.
It's only 9 holes there.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm picky, I blow them off.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it takes you twice as long, it takes twice as long to blow a fairway off cut by the 5210 than it does by the 3555.
Right.
And it does have, if he
I'll
wants to
bring
call
this
me
to him and see
and
what he
ask me
says.
about it, I know, is his name Matt? I think his name is, no,
Matt.
Matt, yeah, I know Matt,
So
so,
Huh?
whatever we need to do, if you're going to sell it outright, do we need to declare it as surplus?
Yeah, even to get rid of it anywhere outside the town, we would have to, so maybe we should just do that now, right? So that way, if and when we're ready to, at least.
You can
Because
move
it
it.
doesn't mean we can't keep it if we call
Right.
it surplus.
well, that's what happened with the other one, if you
Have it declared.
remember, the other one was
Yeah,
declared,
it's by us.
the mower, the rough
I
mower,
don't think we're gonna, it's not on the agenda,
yeah,
but I think if we decide to do that, we can do it.
yeah.
I'll ask him tomorrow, and I'll have him call you
Yeah.
at
We would have to go to the
Of
next
course.
step of the selection anyway.
see what he says.
I mean, if he's, I don't know what he's actually looking for.
I don't know, Steve. I mean, I
Officially declared
know they
surplus.
don't have a lot of equipment there, and their
Like for the
budget is a
town
lot
to
tighter
declare surplus,
there than
right.
it is here, so.
Yeah, but they keep on forcing to keep the whole place open over the winter and do all the rest of that stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, it's the only way they, I guess, make extra money.
Yeah, where does it go though?
No comment. I'll ask
Then we have staffing update.
Yeah, I just, I know we have to go through the process of getting people approved, so, and I knew there was a Board of Selectmen's meeting coming up, so I just entered these two individuals. One of them would be a full-time equipment operator, the first person listed there. Second person is a high school student who will be working primarily in June, July, and August, and possibly a portion of September,
That's
and maybe later on in the year, depending on his weekend schedule and stuff.
And I as well had just had a candidate come in for a pro shop attendant that we could submit for.
I do believe we are on the Board of Selectmen's agenda for Monday,
We are.
12 o'clock.
Right. So, Mr. Deschamps is a town resident?
Yes, actually, he, when the leaves are off the trees, he can look out his backyard and see the golf course. Lives off of Leonard Street there.
Would you plan on, first of all, he's not in the FY '23 budget, right?
I would say specifically, no. But do I have room? I think there's room for him in that budget.
So you have enough salary line item
Yes, I
to
believe I do.
incorporate him whenever he can come on board?
Yeah, well, he could come on board when but the rest of the staff is coming back 17th of April, unless something drastically changes
What
next
do you
week.
expect to pay him?
I expected to start him, the way I explained it to him is I expected to start him at $17 an hour, and then we would go through a 6-month probationary period. And
Excellent, excellent.
if things worked out, then there's a possibility of moving up to the $17.75 an hour. So,
Is this gentleman able to do manual labor?
yes, to a specific extent. He currently has a position where he's delivers batteries for a company, and he's hauling anywhere from a car battery to a marine battery to a diesel battery. So he looks to be capable.
So in the
and-
off-season, he will be able to assist you, Kevin, in your other two full-time gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, because we discussed what the work we did in the winter, because he was curious, because he, had that question. He's also, he's related to a former employee, and if he can work half as hard as that former employee, then we're gonna be in good shape. Lived in Acushnet all his life, so.
Good. Which is good.
Mm-hmm.
The high school student, what do you plan on paying him?
I believe I'll start him at $16.75 an hour. And again, he does have some experience. I'd like to see what he's capable of doing, and how well he's capable of doing it. And then, depending on how that progresses as we get in further into FY '24, there might be a possibility to bump him up a quarter to 17.
When do you think he would start?
He's going to start, well, he's interested in he quite possibly could start working weekends, because we're going to have right now, as it stands right now, if we had to start working weekends tomorrow, I'd have to push overtime on Sundays to have enough people to do the things that we normally do on a Sunday. Our first weekend work is going to be scheduled to start next weekend. So he could possibly start working weekends once he's approved, but he'll definitely start somewhere around the first week of June, whenever they get out of school. It's funny, kids these days have no idea when I figured the first thing they know is when they got out of school.
Most
But
of them-
they don't
don't
know.
know.
Most of them get out around the 12th.
I can go on the website and find out,
Yeah.
because nobody goes to school. But-
Well, I'm sure that,
And he comes highly recommended by a very influential employee source in past years.
Fine with me.
I'm good.
Pardon me?
You good?
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't think there'll be a problem even starting them on weekends, Steve,
Yeah, He seems eager, energetic, and he's, I spoke with his father last weekend, and he said he's interested in getting, eager to get back to work, so.
You don't find too many kids like that. Usually you have to pull them by the hair and.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
That's just to get him up.
My candidate
That's
is
part of
also
the
a high school
problem, yeah.
candidate, getting ready for college and won't be available until school finishes, but looking to cross-train her in the pro shop and food and beverage. Start out with pro shop this season and then segue maybe into the next season into the food and beverage area. And then we're gonna use, as we discussed last year with Dennis Malloy, he was retiring, but with the downturn in the economy and increase in inflation, he decided to stay working for another year, and he may even work again an additional year next year. But when he's a school teacher, when school ends, he's coming into the pro shop, and he's available to do about 20, I'd say mid-20s, about 24 to 26 hours in the pro shop. And then I'm still gonna use him as my, on his ranger shifts as well. So between having her and him will be some assistance in the pro shop, and I'm still looking. I have one more former employee that may be interested in coming back, but he couldn't commit to it as of yet. So if I can get him to sign back on, we should be good to go. And obviously, all of that is still within my current budget that could be utilized.
And that's $15.
Yeah.
$15.
Do you have anybody for the outside too?
I do. I have a couple gentlemen that haven't turned in their applications yet, but looking for the weekend ranges for the PM. So I had two guys that specifically asked for weekend, and I was like, perfect. Those are the spots I need. So if they turn in the apps, I'll bring them in.
Sounds good.
But it's just like we said, as soon as you open up, the weather starts to warm up, people start coming outside, and then the applications start coming, so. And as far as, just a real quick, we're basically $1,000 ahead of last year, March to today's date, in comparison to last year's numbers, so we're,
You got a later start.
yeah, the weather hasn't been as good. We had a later start, and the numbers are right there. So.
Next week it starts to warm up.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, and I was just telling these guys and Steve, Friday and Saturday are pretty much booked. Sunday being Easter, usually that's a dead day. It's booked until about 10:30. That might grow till maybe noontime. And then that'll be that for Easter Sunday.
One other thing, not for discussion, but the bunker on the second, sod has been installed in the bunker on the second hole. So once it needs in, we'll be ready to put the sand in, cut the edge out, and be ready to go. So hopefully this warmer weather, our irrigation system comes up, it's gonna be bought online next Tuesday. So hopefully it doesn't get warm till the end of next week. Spent 6 hours yesterday watering that sod with 300-gallon sprayer in the hose.
Oh, wow.
We've informed our rangers to keep an eye on that, as that being a hot spot. But already there's been a couple of divots taken out of it, guys. They just can't. They won't pay.
The only way you can stop it
Yes.
is sit somebody out there in a
Yes.
chair. I
Tough.
mean, it's not so bad walking, but the other thing that people don't realize, even with the slope, the sod hasn't needed.
Right.
There is no
Shift.
root system under it. As soon as you step on it and shift your foot, it's going to slide. You could turn your ankle, you could twist your knee, you could throw your back out. It's until it roots into the ground, and when it's going to be 30 degrees at night, it's not going to be
Right.
rooting just yet. So
Do you have a rope around it?
I have, the whole thing's roped off. Yep. And I'm gonna, I didn't
Put a
have
sign,
any,
please.
I didn't have any laminating sheets. I'm gonna see if I can make up some signs and laminate them tomorrow so they don't.
I have a question, Dana. You got anybody out for the outside to take care of the cots and all that stuff?
We've gone through the whole fleet and washed them.
But
And
do you
gas
have
them.
somebody to work there
Well,
this summer?
We
And
have
clean them?
as I was just stating, the kids are still in school, so once the kids are out of school, we'll be doing that more frequently.
And we'll have a regular schedule to clean them,
Yep.
right?
Do
need a motion on these new hires?
Yes. I'll make a motion for the new hires.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay. Yeah, from,
I don't know if you're aware or not, but when did we go to the Board of Selectmen's meeting?
It's about a week ago.
Couple,
Wait,
2 weeks
2
ago
weeks
this
ago.
Tuesday, for the budget review, and the Board of Selectmen decided to go back to the original budget and
Right.
not include the
Correct.
pay rate increase. I didn't know if everybody knew that or
yeah,
not.
yeah.
We
But we
did
need-
mention on the last meeting too, I submitted the maintenance contract. Did you guys decide to, is that still under discussion? Or have you guys made a decision as to whether you want to go with it? Just so I can contact the vendor, or you still mulling it over?
What I suggest is that you and Steve get together and review the merits plus and minus of the contract
Mm-hmm.
and come back with a recommendation as to whether we should implement it or not.
Gotcha.
But from the selectmen's meeting on Monday, what you need, what I have done in the past and what you need to do
Mm-hmm.
is to have prepared a little memo or something that is prepared in advance of their meeting so they can put it in a package. And I talked to Tanya today, and so it's only a half day tomorrow, but she's putting the books together. She would have preferred the books to be prepared yesterday, but I begged a grace period of noon tomorrow. So if we can get a little note regarding these things
Mm-hmm.
to her by tomorrow. I've already gave her a note, and I'll show it to you, Dana, on the greens fees for veterans and for the employees. And I also have prepared one on, assuming that I could convince people of the $1 buyout. I have that note also.
So basically what you're saying is setting that memo that at its meeting of 6 April, the golf committee approved
Correct.
this and that.
So either you can have either individually, or you have it in one note saying the following people who are golf committee on
Okay.
April 6th recommend bringing these people on board.
Mm-hmm.
One as a full-time and two as seasonal workers. And they may ask you what the rate is
Mm-hmm.
and all that good stuff. So whatever you prepare. Tanya did ask me if your memo would be suffice to put in there, and
Well, yeah, I mean, I can,
if you
like I
could.
said, I mean, it'd take 5 minutes to type up
Right,
something.
right. So I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't get in their booklet for review,
They'll table it.
it's on the agenda, but
Mhm.
doesn't mean it
They'll
could
do
get
it.
tabled. You're on the agenda for sometime after, probably after 1, because they got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it seems
The
like they have more
agenda's on the
stuff.
website.
Yeah, I have the, yeah, I think I've seen the agenda, but it's.
Right,
yeah, there's a few things
it's
that-
quite a
yeah.
ways down under new business. And I don't expect any issues with any of it.
We had our first veteran come through. He's very thankful for the appreciation.
That's good.
Yep.
Was he from the town or?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, even better.
But yeah, he was a frequent player all the time, and he mentioned it. And he doesn't usually mention it, but he didn't even know about it. So I said, we just implemented that less than a week ago, so this is your new rate. Just remind me a couple times till I know, you
Yeah.
you in as a veteran.
We already have our next meeting scheduled anyway, right?
We do, April 20th, right, 4:30.
So I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Was this
Randy,
something, an email about the telephone system or something? Problem with telephones?
Telephone's working fine.
Next meeting is April 20th?
I don't know.
Somebody was humming that
Yeah, 4:30.
that nobody was answering the phones and.
Yeah, we did have a complaint at the town hall. But we,
Yeah.
just so you know, our common practice is, if you miss a phone call, the number is there, so depending on where the arrow was, we could tell whether the call was taken or wasn't
Is that
taken.
4:30?
So we call that number up and we go,
4:30?
we missed your call, how can we help you, Acushnet River Valley? So we follow up
Did you
like
say
that.
okay?
So we followed up on those numbers, no one ever
Maybe 4 o'clock. Did you say 4 o'clock?
responded when we
Yeah.
called the house,
4 o'clock?
so
Yeah, sorry, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
When the 20th is 4
You'll be
o'clock.
back by the 20th?
Coming back that Monday night. so.
We don't have to break the lights, that's a couple of shots.
That's,
All right, so
2 weeks from today. Next meeting.
Randy made a motion to adjourn. We need someone to second it.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.